America wants. Nice and calm. You're almost there.
Yeah, I did it. I cried 2 tears in a bucket. Fuck it. Let's take it to the stage.
You dig it? You knock a dude down, you get some respect.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Another Monday. Man, Martin Luther King's Day. Say hello and put some birthday wishes, sing the song, and all that kind of good stuff. As far as I was concerned, I almost forgot that it was Martin Luther King's birthday. I mean, I know it was last week, but they celebrated on, I think, the third Monday or something like that every year. So, welcome to another discussion on politics, man. This one, we're going to talk about the 10th Amendment and that it really doesn't protect the sanctuary states as well as it's being portrayed. I blame that on the GOP. I think they're not getting the message across that just because you're a sanctuary state and you have sanctuary cities, that doesn't give criminals any sanctuary from the federal government. And so we're going to go down on how we're going to just daisy chain from the top down, and talk about it. So welcome to the chat, let people come in. I know it's 7:00, here on the East Coast. It might be it's a lot earlier going further west. So we're going to get some people sometimes to come in and all that kind of good stuff. And we're going to drop the link somewhere in there so people could talk. And before we get started, though, I know some of you guys know I like these icebreakers, before. It don't even have to be as part of the topic. Sometimes it is a funny one, sometimes it's not. But I have of course, you guys know I'm into some music. I have a series of songs. I'm only going to play one, by the way, so don't get frightened. It's only like a couple of minutes long. But it's called the Diamonds. It's called the Diamond, Gold, and Silver Collection, right? And what I put into the AI was, what's more important than diamond, gold, silver? Is your peace more important? Is your contention? Is being content more important? Is caring for other people more? And, and it spit out a series of songs and a song. And what I did was I put that same question in, and I have in different genres, right? Blues, soul, R&B, funk, and reggae. And it spit out 5 different songs. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I like the AI stuff. I mean, I'm an amateur at it. I got this little, probably one of the weakest music AI machines, but it's cheap. But I use it. I know they got a lot more sophisticated AI tools. But as an icebreaker, I was going to play that for you while people come in, and then we can get down to brass tacks and talk about current events. The fact that we're kind of this close to, I guess, a different kind of civil war, because I think we're already at civil war already. Nobody's really being diplomatic about anything, and it's some parallels going on about being an open rebellion against the government, the democratic states. Because one other time, 11 to 13 states, democratically led states, were in open rebellion against a Republican government. And we had a civil war over that. Brother fought brother, sister fought sister, family was torn apart. Even some black folks worked for the Confederacy and the Democrats. And then some black folks wanted to be free, and they fought for the Union soldiers. And so now we got sanctuary cities where the government wants to protect illegal aliens from the federal government because they want new voters. They want to spend our tax dollars on these people. But the trick bag is, if I was a thief or a killer or worse, where would I hide? I would hide right in the sanctuary cities. That's exactly where I would hide. You know what I'm saying? So, but before we get started, I'm going to just take a small segue and then we're going to go from the top down, so bear with me, And tell me, I'm going to put the captions on and listen to the words. Tell me, you can put a little comment, see if you like the words or not. And I'd appreciate that. So here we go. It's going to be real quick. And then we'll go right into what we're going to go into. That's not it. All right, it's not it. Well, I'm going to find it, but that wasn't it. That was not it. Anyway, so we got a lot of things going on out here. And we're going to, I don't need to do that. I just need to share it. I don't know why I'm fumbling over this thing. I thought I had it on my, whatchamacallit, but I can get it right now. There you go.
In the silence of the night, I find my peace. The shining stars remind me that I'm free. Diamonds shimmer bright, but they are my gold. Silver and gold can't fill an empty soul. Contentment flows deep. It's a state of mind. Diamonds may dazzle, but they fade away. Silver and gold can never truly sway. Contentment is the light that forever will shine. It's the love that we share that makes life divine. Chasing the riches won't bring true wealth. Finding joy in moments, it's a treasure itself. Life's precious blessings, they shine from within. In a heart of simplicity, we find where we begin. Glimmers of happiness, our hope and diamonds may dazzle, but they fade away. Silver and gold can never truly sway. Contentment is the light that forever will shine. It's the love that we share that makes life divine. Each breath in the present I stand. With silver and gold, I hold joy in my
All right. So that's a little short joint that I thought I'd share with you for whatever it's worth. So we're gonna get into this, where we stand, in our country, blue state, red state, open opposition, federal government against state rights, all that kind of good stuff. And it's not like the states don't have a position; they're making a choice. They're making a choice, and the choice doesn't save them from what's happening. And right now, the big microscope is on Minnesota, right? You notice that none of the Somalis are speaking up for the good. They're silent. I don't know if they just went back to stealing money because nobody's looking at them anymore. So, in terms of the headlines. So anyway, so let's get let's get going. Here's one of the things that I really find that I think we got a major problem with, right? And I just talked to you, like there was 11 to 13 Confederate states that were in open opposition because of slavery, and for some other things, right? They were even going to try to start printing money. Now there's 13 to 17 states in different forms, some not as radical as Minnesota, in open opposition against the federal government because of ICE. And they want to protect illegal aliens because in order for them to have their plan work out, they can't have all the peripheral people who are here illegally who might get caught up in this net that the federal government is putting out there. They don't want them to get caught because those are their future voters, right? Because they know that the black vote is losing its potency. So they need a whole bunch of people they're going to put on welfare and put on, give free money to and services and, baby mamaism and all that kind of shit. So they can get a whole bunch of new voters. Some more liberal voters. And if you give them a lot of stuff, more likely they're going to vote for the party who's willing to give them everything. Okay? Like the Somalis, they concentrate and they use their vote as leverage, kind of like, everybody tries to do. But when you concentrate in one area, it works. It definitely works. It works well. So the politicians in Minnesota are afraid of them because their voting bloc is very powerful. I think they did the same thing in, not the same thing, but the Muslims did the same thing in Dearborn. And people do that everywhere where they can get enough people to vote at the local level to get the things that they want in. Like, for example, in Dearborn, when the Muslims there took over, at the local level, there ain't no fuck shit in their high schools. In their schools, they're not talking about men ramming, fellatio for boy on boy fellatio and all that shit. That is not, they don't have drag queens going to their schools. They don't have none of that crazy shit, in like liberal areas, because the way they vote, the whole board will be made up of Muslims. So they're not having none of the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? They don't have no boys, swinging Charlies in girls' sports in those areas. And Michigan is like a liberal state. So there you have it. So the voting blocks are very, very powerful at the local level, not just at the president level. More powerful at the local level. So let's go ahead to the beginning, the history that we need to know on how we got to where we are right now, right? That's what we need to talk about because, people act like ICE is some kind of, just came out of nowhere, but it didn't. You guys remember Patriot Act. You guys remember the 9/11, what happened to us then. So it all begins there, right? It all begins. The Patriot Act came out right after 9/11. And you see the date there. And George Bush was president, number 2. And one of the things they found out when they did an analysis of how we were so vulnerable, and I want you to remember this, they're what they call the wall. There was a wall between the CIA, one government agency, and the FBI, another government agency. Both of those agencies were there to protect the United States. But they weren't allowed to talk to each other. They were not allowed to talk to each other. So 20 men from Saudi Arabia were able to get licenses to fly planes without learning how to land. And they had, most of these guys were already on the no-fly list and shit like that, but they weren't sharing any information because one agency was told they couldn't talk to another government agency, and we were pouring billions into each one of those agencies, and the trade centers came tumbling down because of the wall. Now, there could have been other reasons and shit like that, but the wall was the biggest one, a lack of communication. So out of that, the Patriot Act opened all of that shit up, right? They could spy on people with the proper warrants and all that kind of stuff. What's up, Curtis? And they could do all these things. And then the Department of Homeland Security was formed. And the date's there, November 2002. You could just look all this shit up, right? Just like I did. So you don't have to take my word for it. And it was bipartisan. So this is crazy to listen to the Democrats and all these people who hate ICE. It was a 90% vote in the Senate. 90% voted for the Homeland Security. And ICE was an organization that was created to do enforcement of immigration. I don't even know what we were doing before. Maybe that's why we're so screwed up. You know? What's going on, Lost in Transit? What's up? So we see what's going on there. So I just want to go. So let's talk about the wall. Because there was a wall, the World Trade Centers came down. The Pentagon got hit. And then it was Flight 93 in Pennsylvania. All of that shit. Nearly 3,000 people died. 3,000 people died. You know? And then we went to war in Iraq. And then we spent 20 years in fucking Afghanistan. You know, to me, you know, you can make a case that it all goes back to the wall. Because if they would have thwarted those guys, we would have never had to do none of this shit. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. And then that, of course, the Afghanistan and the Iraqi war cost us tens of thousands of lives. Cost them more, and it cost us a few $1 trillion because agencies weren't talking to each other. Now, remember the wall, because the wall is important, because right now in the blue states, right, they are being told, the police are being told not to cooperate with the federal law enforcement, right? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So just let that shit sink in. You got one agency at the local level who actually catches a lot of these illegal immigrants doing nefarious shit other than just being illegal, but they don't ask them if they're illegal. Some of that shit doesn't even come up. They don't have any paperwork. So when they get bail or some shit like that, even if they get a detainer, and we're going to talk about that, from the federal government, I ain't saying, well, hold this motherfucker, man, so we could come get him. So we could come get him from the jail cell. So we could come get him in where nobody's going to get hurt, in a controlled environment. So these fucking pricks from the blue states say, no, we're going to let these assholes back on the street. So you have to now, instead of 2 ICE agents, I got to send an army of ICE agents to find these dudes. You know, so a lack of cooperation. Now, the police themselves, I've heard rumors that there's a cadre of Milwaukee police getting ready, retiring and quitting their job. Now, I can't substantiate that, but there's more chat on the internet about that. And they're looking at joining ICE because they don't like the fact that some blue-haired fucking liberal woman is screaming up and down the streets, blowing whistle, and then you see the soy boys following them. So I'm just trying to tell you that this is a dangerous situation, because if I was an adversary of the United States, guess where I put my top agents? Guess where I would put my top agents? They would be in sanctuary cities. They would be right there in sanctuary cities and states, just living their lives. They, you ever saw the movie The Americans, the series, The Americans, back when Russia was our primary adversary, and they had some Russian sleepers. They got married. They lived in the country as Americans for their whole lives until they got turned on. And actually, that series was a pretty damn good series, The Americans. If you could go look, it's probably still in syndication. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying. So the fact that there's a wall between regular law enforcement on the state level and the local level against ICE, it's a recipe for disaster. And we see that playing out all over the streets. Okay, so here's the thing. So what is sanctuary? So let's go with some definitions, right? What is sanctuary? What's a sanctuary? A sanctuary, right, is a place of refuge, a place for safety, right? From the enemies out there, you could come get sanctuary and we'll take care of you. Okay, so there's two things wrong with that. And this is another thing that I had an issue with the Republicans about, because they should have challenged the notion that a state and a city could call itself a sanctuary in the first place. This shit should have been up to the Supreme Court, because somebody told me that, I was on a panel and, I was doing my, just throwing shit out there. And the guy said, well, amendment, the 10th Amendment takes care of that. No, it doesn't. No, it does not. No, it doesn't. So we'll get to that next, right? So here's two things about the sanctuary states and cities that don't jive. Legal immigrants, legal immigrants, whether they're naturalized or have all the paperwork to be in America, the visas are still compliant and everything else, they have absolutely nothing to need sanctuary for. ICE is not trying to bother people who are here legally. They're not. It only becomes a question when they're hanging out with people who have a detainer or a real criminal. And let's parallel that to this. If all of us have some cousins who are dirty, or all of us have, friends who are dirty, you probably, if you're smart and you don't stay in the neighborhood, you don't even want to give them a ride in your car. I have cousins where they want to borrow my car. I know what they're trying to do with it so they can go pick some shit up. I'm not giving them my car. I don't even want to ride in our car. We get stopped. They got fucking some cocaine, some crack, a gun or some shit, and they put that shit in your car. You have nothing to do with it. And so when a cop stops you, guess what? You're getting picked up and you're getting detained, even though you didn't do a goddamn thing but give some asshole a ride. So if you're a legal immigrant and you're fresh from the land, you got a cousin here who snuck in, you got and maybe he didn't even commit a crime, or maybe he did, but you're hanging out with the motherfucker, right? Or he's in your house. When ICE comes to get that guy, they're going to talk to everybody in the house. So if you are a law-abiding citizen and you actually you're out of compliance, your ass is going too. Just because you were out with this dude. So what I'm telling you is, in the sanctuary cities, if they would allow ICE to get the bad guys from jail or the courthouses, the what you call peripheral, the collateral people who might be out of compliance but are law abiding, they would get overlooked because ICE is not looking for them like that. They're looking for the bad guys. So if you placate ICE, they'll come get their guys and they're gone. But you have to do that from the jail. And the blue states and the blue cities refuse to do that. They refuse. And so they're putting all their people in jeopardy. And then we got the blue-haired mavens, crazy ass liberal women out there putting themselves in harm's way like idiots. Okay, the second part of sanctuary cities and states. Sanctuary states, by law, cannot provide sanctuary legally to illegal aliens. Just because you call yourself a sanctuary city or state, that does not give you the authority to hide people from the federal government. It doesn't. So that the sanctuary shit is all bullshit. It really is. It's just a way to drum up, and it's working because it gives you the visuals. It gives you the visuals you want. But the truth of the matter is, it's all a scam, right? Because by law, the sanctuary cities can't protect the illegal alien. They just can't. They could put up roadblocks. They could aid and abet. They could harbor. And all of those are crimes within themselves. That's why the mayor, Fry, that's why Walls, all these guys should be under investigation for sedition and insurrection. All of them. But the GOP, Trump is the only person in the GOP who talks tough. The rest of them are pussies. Right? He's the only one who talks tough, because I would have all of these people, I would have all of their lives disrupted right now. They would be have to, hire lawyers. They would have to do all of that stuff because of what they're doing to obstruct the legal law enforcement of ICE. Man, I'd be on their asses, man, big time. Okay, so let's get back to the wall, right? So the wall now is not the CIA and the FBI. The wall now is the wall between local law enforcement, right, and ICE, right? Because when local law enforcement picks up criminals, when they actually do their job, and they find out these criminals are illegal, ICE sends out detainers. Hold that guy for me. In the red states, they agree. They hold the guy. In the blue states, they let that guy back out on the street, man. These guys are criminals, rapists, killers. All of these guys, they let back out on the street. And guess where they're going? And that's why when I see you blackety black assholes out there talking about you hate ICE, guess where they're putting these people, man? In your neighborhoods. They're not going to Scarsdale and all this, whatever, the upper crusty east side of Chicago. They're fucking going right in your neighborhoods. They're terrorizing the people in the worst parts of the neighborhoods. All right, so listen, sanctuary cities don't do anything. The wall that's up between the sanctioned wall that's being built by Pritzker and Johnson and Walls and Fry, one, they give advantage to criminals, right? It's like they could use all the rest of the population as human meat puppets, because that's what they're going to do. You get a whole bunch of stupid liberals together and they're doing what they're doing in the streets. Okay? And then if I was an adversary like China or Russia or some nefarious North Korea, anybody, I would say, you know what? I could have my sleeper cells in this city. I could have my sleeper cells in Minnesota. I could have them in California. I can have them in Chicago. I can have them in New York, now that they have a communist running as a mayor. Now I can have them anywhere where the people are against the federal government. Okay? I can have them there. And it will give us a lot of cover, because it'll take ICE going through layers and layers of bullshit to find them and take them out. That's what the sanctuary blue states and blue cities, they're putting the whole United States in danger. To protect who? People who want to use our country as fucking ashtray. An ATM machine. If you're here legally, great. You know, assimilate, do all those kind of things. But if you're here illegally, why would we want to continue down that path? It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. You know? And of course, I think the Republicans are blowing it. I really do. Because their messaging sucks. Okay? So enough with me riffing around about it. Here's the thing when they talk about sanctuary cities, right? Let me just play this. All right. I gotta go back and share it. Mm-hmm. All right.
How do federal laws affect sanctuary cities? Have you ever wondered how federal laws interact with sanctuary cities? This question opens up a fascinating discussion about the balance of power between federal and local governments. Sanctuary cities are areas that limit their cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. They often do this by restricting local law enforcement from assisting with immigration issues.
All right, so of course, Miss Robot can gloss over that. Like that doesn't really mean that is just that simple. And it is. The cities can do what they're doing, right? And all the consternation we see is because of what the choice that these cities and states have made by not cooperating. Law enforcement to law enforcement now.
At the heart of this matter is the U.S. Constitution, which gives the federal government the responsibility to enforce immigration laws. This authority comes from the Commerce Clause and the Naturalization Clause. Federal agencies like the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice are tasked with enforcing these laws across the nation. However, sanctuary cities assert their right to limit their involvement in enforcing these laws. They do not create areas where laws do not apply. Instead, they choose not to use local resources for federal immigration enforcement. This decision is backed by the 10th Amendment, which
All right. And we're gonna go through the 10th Amendment again, but she said one thing that's incorrect. Because Johnson tried to make some no enforcement zones in Chicago. Right. And the fact that she says, well, yeah, the cities do have a right to not cooperate in immigration enforcement. But the level of what immigration enforcement is not, there's layers to it. If I give you a detainer and I'm gonna come pick up somebody that you already have incarcerated, I'm not asking you to do immigration enforcement. I'm asking you to just hold a person so I could come get them. So there's a slippery slope there. So yeah, can it be open to interpretation? Yeah. But do you care about your people? Do you care about law or not? Right? So these guys are choosing not to cooperate with the federal government. And yes, they're hiding behind the 10th Amendment to do it, but you could drive a truck through what's going on right now. And I am so disappointed that the GOP hasn't found some lawyer who's right-leaning, just like the left has done all these rogue goddamn judges. I mean, you mean we don't have no right-leaning judges who would put an injunction on this shit so it can go up to the Supreme Court and let's adjudicate this shit, right? That's what I'm saying. Because they're putting an awful lot of killers back on the street. 25,000 detainers have been denied by blue states, of the worst since 2024.
Reserves powers not given to the federal government to the states or the people. Local governments, as subdivisions of states, can decide how much they want to cooperate with federal immigration authorities. Federal attempts to compel sanctuary cities to comply with immigration laws have led to legal disputes. For instance, executive orders demanding cooperation or threats to cut federal funding have sparked constitutional challenges. Courts have ruled that the federal government cannot force local governments to enforce federal laws. This would violate the anti-commandeering principle in the 10th Amendment, which prevents the federal government from forcing state or local officials to carry out federal programs. From a civil rights perspective, sanctuary policies aim to protect immigrant communities from potential violations. These can include issues like racial profiling and unlawful detention. By limiting local involvement in immigration enforcement, sanctuary cities seek to build trust between immigrant communities and local law enforcement. This focus on public safety can help protect constitutional rights such as due process and equal protection. In practice, federal laws create a complex relationship with sanctuary cities. The federal government may criticize these jurisdictions or take legal action against them. They might also try to condition federal funding on compliance with immigration enforcement. Sanctuary cities defend their policies as lawful exercises of local discretion. They argue these measures are necessary to protect civil rights and maintain community trust. In summary, federal laws set the framework for immigration enforcement but cannot force sanctuary cities to comply without violating constitutional protections. Sanctuary cities navigate this legal landscape while prioritizing civil rights and local control over law enforcement practices.
All right. So you see, and of course, it was a left-leaning person who wrote this, but she's absolutely correct in a lot of places, but she's wrong in some others, right? Because you can't, I mean, there's a fine line of cooperating and be with a law enforcement agency and actually being asked to participate as that law enforcement agency. So a detainer is merely a request to hold somebody. That's not asking you to put on a badge or being sworn in as a federal agent. Is if you got a criminal, give them to us while we could come get them. That kind of a cooperation is not a violation of the 10th Amendment, because the 10th Amendment gives the states the discretion to say, yeah, I'll comply and I'll coordinate or I won't. So therein lies all the problems that we see. Right there. They don't want to comply. They don't want to be a part of it. So the whole country is being effed up over it. You know, that's exactly what's going on. You know, so I tell you what, we got some issues with that. There's a lot of issues with that noncompliance, and we're letting criminals go. And we just saw. So that was a good kind of a discussion. So let me throw this up here for you. All right, so here's the 10th Amendment, right? For basically what the 10th Amendment is saying that, and this was a big thing with Roe v. Wade, right? When the federal government tried to, for years, had a federal ban, federal protections on abortion that made every state the same. And the consternation that caused was pretty bad. So when the Supreme Court ruled, we're going to send that shit back to the states, that's probably where it should have always been, because that made sense, right? The state should have the rights to govern those kind of things for the people at the state level. You know, and I know there was a lot of women who are mad at that and shit. Oh, they're going to take all the rights away, but they're wrong, right? Especially the women in the blue states complaining that they can't get an abortion on demand. In the blue, yes, you can. In the blue states, yes, you can. If you're in a red state where it's a little bit more restrictive, even in red states, there's still abortion going on. And then in the one place where they try to say you can't have an abortion, whether the guy, you know, raped you or not, the court shot that down and said that was cruel and unusual, you know, so you can't do that. And for the most people, when they say you can't do it, a lot of them are just a car ride away of going to get it taken care of if they're feeling that. And I believe that Plan B is available in all 50 states. I could be wrong about that, but I think it is. So that whole thing going back to the states was probably a good decision. All right. So, but here it is. So, marriage, local law enforcement, protecting your local borders and all that shit covers the 10th Amendment, covers all that. Y'all can go back and read the 10th Amendment, take it upside down and all that. But the 10th Amendment does not give the states the right to harbor illegal aliens within its borders and save them from federal authority. They don't have that right. So if your cops and your state cops are not cooperating, I got to send armies of fucking guys down there to ferret out the illegal aliens. Of course, that's going to cause consternation. And that's exactly what the Democrats want to do. They want to show this narrative that, it's cool and unusual. There's no statute of limitation. No statute of limitation on being here illegally. You could be a grandma and get deported. You really can. Nobody wants to see that because it pulls at the heartstrings. You got a whole family, a whole brood here. And, and this is one of the reasons why they want to take away birthright citizenship. Another one of those laws that was made for black people that people just jumped on and didn't look back. Right? And I think that that birthright citizen deal is gonna come out this year. It's gonna come out this year. I think they're gonna take it away, and that'll take away this whole emphasis of getting here and just having a baby on this soil and saving the family. I don't think maybe there might be. I'm not so sure there's another place in the world. Maybe there's got to be a few that have birthright citizenship. You can't just be born someplace and they can give you citizenship. Most countries don't recognize that. And I think one of those things was because we had a unique situation here with slavery, right? And we had all the black folks that were freed, and so. As much as some of us black folk hate white people, there's so many black people who hate white people. Do they get any credit for the 14th Amendment? Do they? I mean, did they have to actually do that? Did the white people actually have to do that? I mean, you don't have to answer it here, but I mean, as evil as they are and as terrible as they are and all that shit, why would they do something like that? It's just a question. It's kind of crazy, but it's just a question. So now we know about the 10th Amendment, and we know what it does do and what it doesn't do. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? We know what it does do and what it doesn't do. So where do we go from here? How do we fix this? How does this get fixed? I think, some of it, before we get there, let's talk a little bit about the detainers. So we all know what that is because we're hearing that in the news too. So we should know what a detainer is, right? I think we should know what a detainer is. All right. So let's do that too. Let's do that too. What's the detainer? So this is a short video too on detainers.
Welcome to County Office, your ultimate guide to local government services and public records. Let's get started.
What is a federal detainer? If you've ever wondered what happens when someone in jail is wanted by more than one authority, you're about to find out. Let's break down what a federal detainer is and how it works. A federal detainer is essentially a request from one law enforcement agency to another to hold a person in custody. This can happen in two main contexts: criminal law and immigration. In the context of criminal law, a detainer is filed by a criminal justice agency with the institution where a prisoner is incarcerated. This request asks the institution to either hold the prisoner or notify the agency when the prisoner is about to be released. For example, if a person is in jail awaiting trial on a felony or misdemeanor, and another court in a different jurisdiction wants to try them for another crime, they can issue a detainer to ensure the person isn't released until they can take custody. In the case of immigration, a federal immigration detainer is issued by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, to request that local law enforcement hold an individual who is already in custody. This individual is typically suspected of being deportable. ICE needs to have probable cause that the person is deportable, such as a final order of deportation or evidence that they are in removal proceedings. When an immigration detainer is issued, the local law enforcement agency is asked to hold the individual for up to 48 hours, excluding weekends and holidays, to allow ICE to assume custody. However, it's important to note that these detainers are not legally binding, and courts have ruled that holding someone solely on an ICE detainer can violate their Fourth Amendment.
So let's stop there, okay? I guess she had to say that to sow seeds of what we're talking about. For the most part, she's talking about detainers where a person's just incarcerated, but it might not be a crime, it might not be anything. But some of the crimes, you ain't worrying about the Fourth Amendment. A guy just shot somebody, or a guy stole something, a person just raped a little kid, or whatever they did, you're not worrying about the Fourth Amendment. In the blue states, they're letting the worst criminals go, up to 25,000 since 2024 February, when the president became president. 25,000 killers. And detainers, I got a list. It's not just killers, the whole gambit of them. They just let them go because they don't want to cooperate with the federal government. Right? So even if she's technically right that there's a fear of Fourth Amendment rights, not for those suckers, not for them. It's just they don't want to deal with the federal government.
The process of issuing a detainer has evolved over time. For immigration detainers, the practice began on an ad hoc basis in the 1950s and was later formalized through regulations and amendments to the Immigration and Nationality Act. Today, ICE must demonstrate a stronger basis for holding an individual beyond just conducting an investigation into their immigration status. In summary, a federal detainer is a formal request to hold someone in custody, either for criminal proceedings or immigration purposes. It ensures that the person is available when the requesting agency is ready to take them into custody. But it also raises important legal and constitutional questions about the rights of the detained individual.
Yeah, okay. All right, so what she said at the end about the Constitution, let's just hear that one more time.
About the rights of the detained individual.
All right, okay, we don't have to go through it. Listen, what are you talking about? Those are extreme cases where the detainers that they're coming for is the worst of the worst. We're not worrying about the rights of those individuals, especially if they only could be held for 48 hours. But, that kind of protection should not be afforded to a person that's in jail because you think that person, is a deleter, a child abuser, and all those kind of things. That's crazy. Turn their asses over to ICE. And that's what I think they should be doing. It's crazy. It really is. Yeah, I'm gonna drop it right now. I'm gonna drop it now. Since you're here, man, shoot, I'm gonna drop it. You should be coming right at you, brother. The link is out there. All right, the link is there. What's going on, Sparta? So this is the dilemma that we're in the United States. We have, again, the states that are in open rebellion, against the federal government. And, I don't even want to mention the guy's name because it's stupid. This is bigger than Donald Trump. It really is. I mean, this is for the future of the country. We have a lot of bad people in here. Plus, it's costing us a lot of money. It's just costing us a lot of money, to do this, to act this way. So what kind of impact are we running into? Right? And like I said a couple of times, since October of 22, since October, even over the Biden administration, up to February 25, okay, approximately 25,000 violent illegals have been released, ignoring ICE detainers. And by now, it's got to be a whole lot more than that. You know what I'm saying? And in general, ICE itself, okay, in general, has over 666. ICE itself has over 666,000 illegals they know are in this country. They know are in here, but they don't have any detainers on them. They don't know where these people are. What's going on, Sparta? What's happening?
What's going on, Payne? How are you, my man?
What's going on, man? What you got on the topic, man? I know y'all touched it, bro. Y'all bleeding heart liberals over there were like, pissing me off a little bit. But go
ahead. Honestly, I think this is a hot mess, to be honest with you, with ICE.
Yeah, it is a hot mess, yeah.
Because they don't have the right training, like police force and our military. Like Anton said last night on my show, and Mandrell, when the guy came in front of the car, he shouldn't stay in front of the car. Yes, he pulled his phone out. He did a correct thing that. But put his firearm and shoot was the wrong thing.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. I hear you. I don't argue that. I'm not even arguing that. But go ahead.
Yeah. The other problem is him shooting and deleting that person. He didn't have any backlash. Now, if this was a regular law enforcement intelligence, internal intelligence would investigate the whole situation. This is why they have body cams now. I think 99.9% of every precinct in the United States has a body cam. I'm not sure if everyone does, but I want to say at least 95% of them do.
Okay.
So when somebody does use their firearm, and this is coming from my cousin who was a retired NYPD, they review what happened. Was he a trigger-happy person? Was it self-defense? Or did he give him a lawful order saying, stand down or I'm going to shoot you? They have, from my understanding, they have to say that 3 times. Stand down or I'm going to shoot you, 3 hands behind your back, or whatever the case is.
That sounds good by the book. But no, I
agree with that. By the book, a lot. Listen, by the book says a lot of things. By the book says, okay, this is chopstick. Is going to help your lips. By the book. But sometimes it's hydration. Sometimes it's genetics. Sometimes it's cold. Obviously, we don't know why. Same thing with this situation. By the book, yes, it says great.
When we talk about this, though, right, we're talking about this one specific case. There's 2 things we can't do with this one specific case. There's thousands of encounters between ICE and people. So we can't take one incident and turn it into that this is how ICE operates. I think ICE should have been busting heads a long time ago. Now, should she have died for this? No. But the truth of the matter is she put herself in harm's way. And one of the things about it's undeniable. She belongs to like one of these hate groups that hates ICE. But here's another thing. That same guy, now I think this is a better way to go. That guy might not have been eligible to be back on the street because a month earlier, an illegal alien dragged him like 3 football fields in a car. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know about that.
This guy was he got hurt. He was coming off a traumatic situation where he was reaching in to turn off the engine, and the guy took off and dragged his ass like a couple of blocks.
I'm not surprised to hear this because I hear a lot of situations like I watch all these body cam on YouTube like that, and you see this. People do this all the time, and like tell them step out of a car or whatever. Oh, I'm a state, what is that? Those free staters, whatever they're called, right. And all this stuff, and like I'm like watching this, I'm like, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, you gotta listen to yourself. You sound one an idiot, and two, you sound stupid about saying this stuff. So if you get a lawful order, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Obey the lawful order, because 9 out of 10 times, if you're in court, the body cam footage is going to prove guilty or innocent.
Well, I don't know if they're going to ever give all of these guys body cam, but what I'm saying is that, one, I don't agree that Christy Nome or anybody should have. I first of all, I do think that somebody from the state should have been on the team. That's one, even though we know that person would have been in opposition to what was found. Two, I think it's more important to say that maybe he has some pent-up trauma from his last experience. This whole notion that he should have been in front of the car is bullshit. No, there's no yellow chalk line in defense and in law enforcement say, well, you can't stand here, you got to stand over there. No, he was walking towards the car. Now, I have a feeling that the chick might not have seen him, because the other guy was talking to her.
My understanding from people that I know who are law enforcement and military MPs and all that stuff, when they train you not to walk from the car, because if that's the case, it takes off, it runs you over. You're always taught to walk behind or on the side.
Okay, these are just, there's nothing, no such thing as never. All right, so he did it though. He was there. And even that, listen, first of all, these arguments, I hear you. Everybody thinks they're good. My problem is that he actually dodged the worst of it. Right? He got a bruise. So the fact that he didn't, the fact that he wasn't even close to being run over, right? Because he got out of the way. Not only did he get out of the way, he still had enough wherewithal to shoot 3 times accurately.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you were like really flailing because she got the best, so I'm thinking we're trying to come up with all this shit. I think it's a bad argument to say he shouldn't have been in front of the car. But he was, right? He was. Or the trainer says you shouldn't have been, but he was. And there's no law saying he shouldn't have been there. Okay, that's one.
Oh, I'm not gonna push back one bit. There's no law say he shouldn't be in X, Y, Z position.
He shouldn't be there. So that argument.
Training, keyword training, meaning this is what you should do on the field. That's 2 different conversations now.
We don't know how much training this guy had. I don't think training makes you perfect either. Training makes you better. Right? So this situation, this chick was blocking traffic. One of his boys is at the side telling her to get out. Now, the fact that he wasn't full flush in front of the car means that I think he might have actually knew he shouldn't be in full front. If he was at the middle where the damn medallion is, he would have got ran over.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he was on the side. So the point what I'm saying is he was already moving out of the side. I'm thinking she's looking at the guy at the window, and her peripheral vision didn't pick him up when she was going to pull off. I think that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to say he overreacted, man, I'll give you that. I don't think he needed to shoot her. I don't think he should. I think, he could have been pissed, and, he got the bruise and she cut out because they know who she is. They would have got her later on that night.
That I will 100% agree.
He was never going to get away.
Engine or the wheels or something else. He
not even, he wouldn't. I don't think he should have had to. He didn't have to dislodge the bullet at all. She's just another one of these liberal pricks that he should have just let go and get her, show up at her door at night or that night and arrested her.
And that part, I'm going to totally agree 100% with you. I'm not going to push back one bit.
But is he a criminal because of that? I don't know. I mean, you know what? Is he? I think the investigation was bad. I agree. I'll give you that, man, and all that. But the chick put herself in harm's way. Everybody keeps making the excuses. Remember his little brother, just his brother Kevin Porter, who just got shot by an unarmed ICE agent. I think his name was Kevin Porter. There was an ICE agent that was off duty, going home, and this guy is celebrating with a long rifle in California, shooting bullets in the air. I believe the guy said, "Yo, what are you doing?" They say he shot at the ICE agent 3 times. and then he got shot. Now I said, well, okay, nobody's disputing the fact that he's shot, but they're saying, well, the ICE agent had no jurisdiction to say anything. Well, that's not true. He's law enforcement still, and he's still law enforcement, and if the guy actually shot at him, where's the argument at? Now, I'm saying if you got a long rifle and you shoot at somebody 3 times, but he gets you before you get him, you shouldn't have a gun.
Yeah, bad aim.
You should have a gun. You know what I'm saying? What are you talking about?
Listen, I said it last night on my show. I am a big believer that gun laws don't fucking work. It's been proven time and time again. People are getting their hands on these guns no matter what. The firearms, rifles, shotguns, whatever. So I am a big believer that gun laws work. The Texas prove it. I have spoken to sheriffs. I've spoken to cops. The time we had less crime when the laws were more lenient with guns back in the day. So
I can see that.
Yeah. So I don't believe, these gun laws work, but I do believe people need to have right training to handle these firearms.
Oh, of course.
I know some countries, they is a course in high school. You have to go through how to handle a firearm.
Well, that makes sense to me.
I agree with that.
But so listen, all I'm trying to say is that these are, with all of the consternation and all of the agitation that the citizenry of these blue states are doing to ICE, it's remarkable that we only are talking about a few incidences like this. I think people want to get and try to emphasize these tragedies, but these encounters are going on in mass every single day. And the fact that, first of all, I don't think ICE is arresting enough people. They should be. If you stand in front of an ICE vehicle, you're obstructing justice. You should go to jail. I would be busting these guys' heads.
What's that word? Interfering with identification.
Yeah, you should. I mean, there shouldn't be no wait for this guy to get out. And so they're trying to be nice. And I think that's a mistake. They should have been busting heads from the beginning. I'll
tell you a story, for example. All the local bars are down the street from my house. I can walk there and come home, so I don't have to worry about driving and drinking. I don't do that personally. So one day I was walking home from the bar. My buddy was DJing that night, so I had a little few extra drinks.
Okay.
Was I fine to walk? Yes. Was I in condition to be behind the wheel? Absolutely not. So this is why another reason I walk. It's only 2.5 blocks from my house.
Right.
So they had somebody pulled over, funny enough, right in front of the bank I use on my way home. I was maybe a block away at this point.
Okay.
And to do anything. And one cop was holding back, and I asked him, "Excuse me, officer." I go I don't want to interfere with your investigation. Can I walk through? He goes, "Yeah, you're fine." He tells the guy he's fine. He goes, I'm using that as an example. If you show them respect, they'll show you respect back. I personally believe.
Well, if they're doing their job, they will. I mean,
yeah.
Anyway, so here's my thing. Here's the problem I have, and I was going to get here. You can go through this list with me. Now, since the blue states are not, matter of fact, that incident with the incident with that officer, this guy said it happened last June, so it was a while ago. So
he could have drawn PTSD from that still.
Well, not a year after that, man. But he could have been quicker on the trigger.
But I'm going to push back on that.
No, he could have been quicker on the trigger. I agree with you.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people who have done something in their line of work. I'm talking about law enforcement and military. I have a lot of friends who in those fields, and they have PTSD years and years and years later.
That's why I took it back, man. I agree with you. He could have still been impacted by that. Here's a situation that we have right now. Right? These are the numbers of people walking around non-detained. This is just a short list. These people are dangerous. And what's not on this list, what is not on this list is spies, is the, sleeper cells, and like I said, we don't have, people keep looking at our enemies as somebody who's going to shoot missiles at us and bullets and all that shit. The way the United States is going to fall is from within. It's going to be brother against brother. It's going to be sister against sister. It's going to be South. It's going to be ideology against ideology.
So you're
And it
talking
could
about
be
Civil War.
exploited, right? So it's not going to be missiles, right? So if I was a nefarious player, I would have a useful idiot like Tim Walz as a governor, a heartbeat from one election from being in the White House. I would have a guy like Mayor Fry, who is such an idiot. And I know, I mean, just being a regular man, I know that the way he is placating and doing what he does for the Somalis while they're ripping the country off blind and trying to learn their language and all that, you know, and especially he can't speak it right? So when he gets into his thing, I can see a whole room, just a whole, you know, every Somali in their private office or private house laughing their ass off at this idiot. Because they say he's the biggest duck in the whole world, right? And they have him, you know, dead to rights. That's why he's on a thumbnail. Because, you know, he should go to jail. I think he should be, they investigating him now, but I think he should go to jail. Him and Walz, you know, so he should be, you know, definitely under investigation. So here's the numbers. Okay. So that's just something I wanted to show.
First of all, I want to apologize. My puppy is barking
I don't
crazy.
worry about it, man. I'm not tripping over that. I mean, the real world is the real world. Things going on. Okay. So one of the, we got real victims though. We got real victims. Can you see this? No, you can't see that.
No, you have to share your screen.
Yeah, you
there you
can't
go.
see that. Right. So we got real victims. And I could put 100 pages of this up there, but I only put 4. Of course, we have to have Lakin Rowley because they made a law because of what happened to her. Right. With these illegals around, they're dangerous. They're very dangerous. They got this sister, Larissa Thompson, who got shot 6 times and trying to steal her car. And the guys who killed her were like teenagers. Right? So I wanted to show a little different demographic. You got, it's not just the heinous, you know, grapes. It's not just the carjacking. This guy, this lower left guy was a taxi cab driver, and one of his passengers, you know, got mad at him and choked him out. Smiled all the way through the damn process. And then, of course, the bad drivers out there, drunk driver running people over, had eight different DUIs, killed her and her son. You know, I'm saying it's all over the place. You know, just, you know, and it's not like Americans don't do this, okay? But it's like saying, well, you're in debt, so, you know, what's the problem? What's the difference of being more in debt?
The same token, Payne, like not every illegal is bad. They're trying
But
to.
why did you think you had to say that, though? Right, that's the point. It doesn't matter. Why did you think you had to say that?
Because I know a few who were. I knew a few. Let me rephrase that. I knew a few who weren't bad people. They just couldn't get, you know, citizenship for some weird reason. I don't know the backstory. I don't know them anymore. They worked for me at one point when I ran diners. Diners are known to hire a lot of people under their books, and most of them are illegal, believe it or not.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is, and we all do this. We ain't talking about, first of all, the people who are good people, and the only thing they did was sneak into the country. One, that's still a crime.
I'm not disagreeing.
Okay, hold on. That's still a crime. You know, but I'm not talking about those people. I'm not saying that that's a gateway drug for them to become like these people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But it's still a crime. And I just think that if they get caught, they're subject to deportation no matter how good they are.
You're right.
You know, right. So that's all I'm saying. So, but when we talk about these criminal guys, we're actually not talking about them. We're not talking about them, but they're still in jeopardy. Here's another thing I'll give to you, Sparta. If the blue states would allow ICE to pick up the bad guys from jail or from a courtroom or just cooperate with them, then the collateral damage would go down automatically. because they wouldn't have to send armies of ICE in areas. They would just be sending 1 or 2 to pick up the bad guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a little to this too. The job market is going to change if you stop hiring illegals. A lot of restaurants hire a lot of illegals because they pay them off the books. New York is very famous for that, and
you're right, though. You're right, but that's not
my
reason.
market. My job market of my career, of my line of work. You know, I'm a chef. I work in the restaurant business, and I know this very well. Has literally the pay wage has dropped so much in the last several years because they're hiring all these illegals, and some of them, to be honest with you, they have no idea how to cook.
Well, let's talk about that, though. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about hiring illegals. First of all, it's a crime to hire illegals. It's supposed to be a crime, but it's one of those gray area crimes where there's a lot of times there's false documentation being given over. Like, you know, if you got to do some digging to know that this guy's really, and it's like a don't ask, don't tell. The person will come up with some kind of paperwork, maybe from a relative, right? Has the same similar name, especially if Hispanic, they have a lot of similar names. You know, they'll use, I've seen some of these things, but it's illegal to hire, it's illegal to do that. But some people are saying if we don't do that, then our whole economy would cry. Well, for a moment. But will things go up? Maybe for a moment. But the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of Americans who need to go to work. And to say, the only problem is that these organizations don't want to pay people a living wage, right? You know, so that's one problem. The other problem is to say Americans won't take these jobs. When people are hungry enough, they're going to take any job.
People also forget. And remember the old show Dirty Jobs back in the day?
Yes, I do.
I actually was a big fan of that because those people make this country work and run. Those jobs, the garbage man, the cesspool people, the plumbers, those dirty jobs that we don't want to do. Without those people, we cannot run this country.
Well, it depends on who we is. Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Just because you replace those jobs with illegal immigrants and pay them slave wages doesn't mean an American wouldn't do that job. It's not available.
I'm agreeing with you, Payne.
Oh, okay.
Listen, if somebody offered me more money than what I make now as a chef to do a garbage or a cesspool or something like that, you really think with your bull shiny head I won't do it?
I don't know. I don't know what you. Who's this?
If they're offering me another $5,000 a year to do something,
what are you upside down? Oh, you in the car? Well, hold on. We haven't seen you up here, but have you been up here before?
He's muted.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was up here a few weeks back talking to you.
Okay. All right, man. You know, I'm old, man, so I could
Yeah,
say I forgot.
I agree on that part.
I know.
What's going on, man?
So I just got to give you some pushback, because all of the crimes and stuff you talking about, those people committing, I agree with you to a certain extent, right? But you have to look at it like California. California is one of the biggest donor states in the country.
Okay.
You know what, Mr. Payne? We also have the most illegal immigrants over here in California, Nevada, you know, places like that. And you keep saying sanctuary cities and democratic red states. We're not broke like the red states are. The red states are broke. You guys are poor. And the gentleman mentioned restaurants. I come from a restaurant background too when I was young. The margins that you need to make in the restaurant is severely impacted. Is severely impacted by the wages. And the last thing is, Mr. Payne, me and you talk, you have 2 daughters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you got 2 daughters. Mr. Payne, unfortunately, your daughters, just like I got daughters, They don't want to date a nigga that's a garbage man. They don't want to date a nigga that's a plumber. So it doesn't. What you think? Oh well, it won't matter. It doesn't mind, Mr. Payne. They're not from our generation. These younger people, they're not from our generation. Nobody will be able to get in your vagina.
Yeah, but
No.
listen, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry. Go ahead and land it. Go ahead.
No, and so that's all. That's all I want to say. Even though I'm a couple of years younger than you, and I'm a truck driver now, right?
Okay.
But I make great money, and I done been around my woman for 30-something years. But you know, the women look at me and be like, "Oh, you a truck driver and this, that, and the other." But then when I went and got my taxes done a few years ago, she was like, "I didn't know truck drivers made this much money," because they don't look at us that do these jobs like viable candidates for mates or as men.
Yeah,
they don't.
But that's their character flaws, man. I mean, the bigger issue is this, and you know, California might be a donor state, but they're wasting money just as bad. They're wasting a lot of money, man. You know, Gavin Newsom is probably a criminal. And so all I'm just trying to say, yeah, you got a lot of people there. You got great weather. You got a lot of money flowing. Oh, man, but he must have dropped down. But the money ain't flowing right. So I hear those discussions. And I don't think there's good enough reason to say, you know, to give anybody a pass for being here illegal. There's a net negative to have a lot of illegals in there. They cost us a lot of money. And, you know, and then just why the Republicans said they wanted to get the worst of the worst. Yeah, Americans create crime, but shit, man, we got to get those people too. But they got law enforcement for that.
But
the ICE guys are looking
for
illegal.
Here's my pushback. Name one person who's squeaky clean has never gotten in some kind of trouble. Parking tickets,
we ain't talking about
whatever.
Parking tickets, though, man. We're not talking about parking tickets.
I understand that, but the average
Mr.
American,
Payne, I've been to prison. I've been to prison.
I think you mentioned that. So yeah, you reform yourself though, but you're not an illegal alien either.
I've been arrested myself.
Yeah, but neither one of you guys are illegal aliens, though.
Yeah,
we're talking about illegal aliens.
You see, you know what bothers me paying it so much? I'll be straight up with you. My parents were illegal first when they first came to the country.
Yeah, okay.
This is why it bothered me. My dad did everything, you know, he could. He got a lawyer eventually, and he paid what he had to. But for first, you know, I think 12 years, he told me he was illegal. He was off the books.
Yeah, okay. Did he finally get in? He became legal?
Yeah. My mom became legal first, and they got married.
My grandparents came over. I don't know whether, I know they were illegal by the time they died. I don't know how long they were in that status. They came through Ellis Island, though. You know, so they were probably, you know, they were on the books. They came through the right.
My father came through the crab fishing grounds.
Okay.
Then he started traveling around.
Here's my thing, though, and this is why the Republicans don't have an issue. The illegal shit conversation, it pulls heartstrings, right? Because everybody who is a immigrant and is fresh, you got an accent, you probably know some good people who might still be here illegally or not or in compliance, overstayed a visa, maybe started a family, and the heartstrings start going. So it's not about heartstrings. The fact is that if there's more cooperation in the blue states, there'll be less collateral damage for those people because there'll be less ICE agents on the street, right? Because they'll be able to pick up the people they're looking for from the jails and stuff like that. So there's always going to be some people out of compliance in the United States, but the numbers who came in the last 4 years is unsustainable. Mm-hmm. To every aspect of the United States is unsustainable. So it's not just whether you went to jail and you got out of jail and you're American. That's a whole different part of the law enforcement game. We're not talking about that. That's the price we pay for having and being an American. We got some people who got in, get out, and change their lives around, right? That's a whole different conversation. But do we give that same Benny to illegals here? Some of them we probably do already. But the truth of the matter is, the answer is why? Why do we want to do that? We got enough problem with our own Americans. I mean, I think we got enough issues herding the cats that are actually naturalized Americans. And then here's another thing. The reason why legal immigration is so narrow, right, is because assimilation and allegiance is important to Americans. If I'm gonna give you a naturalization card, I want you to at least have some kind of allegiance to the United States. Some kind of allegiance to not just, just why every time I see the fucking Somalis, right, none of them say they're Americans. None of them. Right? They changed the Minnesota flag to a Somalian flag. Pretty much. And it's the same thing. So I'm saying, do these people even care about America? 80% of them are on welfare. After all the billions of dollars that some of them people stole, 80% of them are still on welfare. I mean, come on. And they're citizens. I mean, not just the recent ones after 10 years. So I don't know. Listen, it sounds heartless, but I'm just trying to say, what are we doing? Does it mean anything to be an American? So we're the only people on the face of the earth that we're bad if we want a sovereign nation? I don't. I mean, I don't.
That's hard. I can't even answer that. To be honest with you.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, listen. As a Black American, you hear these conversations. You be around. We'll have a panel of Black people, and we talk about we helped build this country. We were slaves. We were working for 400 years for free. Blah 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 blah. Let's just say that's true. And it is true, right? Slavery was a money grab for the 5% of whites who own slaves, right? But that money permeated throughout the whole country. So now that Blacks are free, like we're free now, and we can try to taste the fruits of all of that labor, why would we be liberal to say people could come from any fucking where and use America as an ashtray and eat into the equity that we're still trying to get? And getting food stamps, getting housing, putting their kids, overcrowding the bad public schools that we already have in our neighborhoods. All of these things, put them, and then raising the property taxes of any Blacks who actually have property, and these people are in first-class hotels and all this kind of shit, man, come on. I'm just thinking, how could we be so liberal about that? So when it's our turn to at least get a chunk of the American dream, we're giving it away to other countries, to all these people coming in. It doesn't make any sense to me. And protecting them, going out and putting yourself diving in front of police cars and shit, trying to save people. That's just madness. I don't know, man. I'm not even. I mean, I just turned conservative, man. I mean, I just think some common sense things that bother me. I mean, especially with Black Americans, I can see white American liberals talking like that, doing all that dumb shit. They're gonna destroy the country. And then, of course, Trump is such a narcissist idiot. He just can't contain himself. So he's always going to say some shit and do some shit that's going to, weaken the position. Right?
I think he's right now, the way his mindset is, I think he's in a power kick right now, to be honest with you.
Well, he's always been
worse than ever now.
Well, you might be right. I mean, for I think it was stupid for him accepting the Nobel Peace Prize from the lady. I mean, you didn't win. She won. Why are you taking the chick's prize? I wouldn't accept it. I said, listen, I got to respectfully, decline. I appreciate the whatchamacallit, but no. Or putting his name on the Kennedy Center. So his thing is that he feels, I think one of his problems is he wants to try to get all his accolades while he's alive because he's afraid nobody will give it to him when he's gone. And he might be right. But the way he's doing this stuff, I mean, he got character flaws. Now, I still like his policies than, people wanting chicks with dicks into women's bathrooms and shit like that. I can't vote for that.
Mm-hmm. That part I agree. Yeah.
So
it's just
he say he's definitely not getting the library. He probably, I hear you. He probably trying to get one before he goes. So anyway, I'm just saying I have you have any other questions? What else you got? I have a little bit more. I have a couple of this is the guy I wanted to play. All right. This guy I want to play. Hold on for a second. Let me get to the right spot with this dude. I don't know why I didn't have him queued up. All right. This is the sheriff that everybody likes, man. I'm going to play this guy in a second. You might know who I'm talking about if you see him. Sheriff Grady.
He's always 100% there to give it to us, so I really appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Sheriff.
Sheriff Judd, any last comments?
Well, I'm glad y'all joined us today. The message is clear. As you see law enforcement officers abused and neglected across this nation, that doesn't happen in the state of Florida. When one of our colleagues calls for help, we're there to support them. Federal, state, local, we'll always be there. And the people of the state of Florida know that. And when you see all that mess going on in Portland, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, there's a reason it doesn't happen here. It's who you elect to public office. Those are the leaders that set the rules or the laws. They're the ones that support and protect law enforcement officers with their rules and the laws that they create. Blaze did a wonderful job when he's in the Senate. He's doing a tremendous job as our CFO. At the local level, it's our county commissioners. If they don't give me the money, I can't hire the people. I don't have the tools to do the job. Our crime's at a 54-year low. That doesn't just happen. Good people make good things happen, and our Board of County Commissioners are good people. The Board of County Commissioners can also be a problem. If they want to pass rules that think more of the criminals than they do the law-abiding citizens, then crime goes up. I'm blessed, and I thank the good Lord every day for our commission and our commissioners who support us and who support the people of Polk County and who make public safety their top priority. But as I close today, you watch the evening news, the national news, and you see all this scrum and all this, but nothing's changed now at the local level. The Trump administration, the Biden administration, the Trump administration, the Obama administration. We're doing the same job today that we did all along. Do you know what the difference is? The difference is the leadership from the president and the federal government who has said, we are now going to deport, starting with the worst first, those that are here illegally in the country. We've been bumping into these people during our normal course of business all along. We've been reporting them to ICE all along. And all along, ICE has not taken very many of the people out of this country because that was a decision by the federal government. Nothing is changed here except the federal government is putting the resources and the infrastructure together and asking for our help. And I want to brag on our governor, Ron DeSantis, and our legislature, our Senate and our House. They created special laws to back us up and to require every law enforcement agency and every government in the state of Florida to support. I have the language here. 908-104. Law enforcement agencies shall use their best efforts to support the enforcement of federal immigration law. In these other states, the antithesis is occurring. They're passing laws prohibiting local law enforcement from assisting.
So, and therein lies the rub. It's just that simple. It's really just that simple. That coming down from the top, telling the police not to recognize or honor the detainers is the big issue. They're doing one other thing. They're also energizing their population like pawns.
But let me tell you something. I'll just share this with you. If I'm a law enforcement officer in Minnesota or California, wherever I'm a law enforcement officer, if one of my federal partners calls for help, I'm going to them. I don't care what the mayor thinks. I don't care what the city commission thinks. You're not going to run over our brothers and sisters in this business. And that's the way we do business in Florida. But that's the difference in who you put in office and the rules that they pass. So when you look at our performance here, you will find that the ICE now is deporting or taking possession of the people where they didn't before. The people we are taking to the jail and reporting to ICE are the people we interact with during our normal course of business. And ICE has put 1.5 million warrants out of their confidential ICE computer into the National Crime Information Center. So we're seeing people when we run warrants checks today that during the Biden administration back, and when I say the Biden administration back, it was the Biden administration, the Trump administration, the Obama administration, those warrants weren't in our toolbox, and they are today. So when the numbers go up, it's because we know who they are. When we tell ICE, hey, we have 10, it goes, hey, no problem, we want them, and they're taking them. So you can watch all this, and this gnashing of teeth, and you can tell when those politicians from those states are lying. Their bottom jaw's moving. We speak the truth in Florida, the free state of Florida.
Pan, you're muted.
Yeah, what does sundown towns have to do with what we're talking about? That's the one thing we always deflect. If we had a conversation about sundown towns, then that would be great. Let's just talk about sundown town. Right now, we're talking about getting illegal aliens out of our country. So yeah, there might be sundown. There might be some shit in New Jersey. There's places I don't want to go. When I was in the Bronx, there were some neighborhoods in the Bronx I didn't go down because they're Italians.
When I lived in Queens, is some place that I didn't go.
Yeah, so listen, none of it is right, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about one issue only. And it doesn't matter how, that's one of our, I'm not talking about just this brother, but it's one of those kind of things we always get into. Since there's injustice one area, it's like we're almost making excuses. It should be injustice everywhere. And that's not true. It's just not true. That's all. I mean, he got his point across. So
he does have a good point. If any their fellow officers, it doesn't matter, it's ICE or marshals or whatever, is in trouble, they're going to back them up any day, and that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, but the point is, some of these guys understand that going against their bosses is their job is on the line.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's one of the things.
If you had a chance and your boss tells you to do something unethical, but you have food on your table for your two good daughters and your wife, Would you do the unethical thing, or would you do your job?
No, I mean, it depends. It depends on what unethical means. You know, I mean, if my boss asked me to do something unethical, I can't tell you how desperate I would be. But if it was something unethical, which has a thing, I'll probably say no. I would try to get him in trouble for even asking me. You know, I mean, I'd be pissed that he would even ask me that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so before I say yes, I would say, listen, man, you know, shoot, I wish I had my tape recorder on. You know, so I don't know. I mean, I know some people say what?
Phones now these days. We didn't need tape recorder. We have phones.
Yeah, you know, so I would.
I'm just saying, it's with the technology. I'm just
no, but it was a good question. But you know, like I said, it's easy for me to say to answer it like that. But those are the kind of questions you can't answer until you're in the situation. You know, you might say something, but you know, is it hard to believe? You know, I don't know. I just think it is. There's another thing. Did you see Don Lemon? Don Lemon actually, here's one of the things that's wrong with the DOJ. They have enough evidence and enough information to actually start putting cases against the mayors and the governors of these states who are saying things that incite riots and violence against ICE. You know, I mean, and the reason why I say that is if they could make cases against rappers for saying stupid shit on their lyrics, and they've done that, I think you could use some of these press conferences to actually bring investigations against governors and mayors who incite their people to go out and interfere with ICE operations. I really do, you know. Mm-hmm. So and they don't do it. So the DOJ is kind of lax. But one of the things that BMU told me about was Don Lemon. Okay, Don freaking Lemon actually raided a church with a whole bunch of folks and stopped the procession and all of that kind of stuff. And I want to show. Let me show a little bit of that because I think he could actually be in trouble for this because there's a thing called a FACE Act. And the FACE Act says that you cannot disrupt, you know, a person's ability to worship, among other things. And so he stopped his people raided a church, and they stopped the actual mass protesting. You know, and
you couldn't do that.
And that's why he's under investigation. That's why he's under investigation. So I'm gonna show a little bit of it. I mean, fucking Don Lemon, man. You know. Let me okay, let me do this. And he's crazy, man. I don't know why he thought he could get away with this. But he did. So I just want to show a little bit of it. Let me get this to the right spot.
Right up front. All right. Now that you've seen what the protesters are up to currently, let's go back to what happened yesterday. Don Lemon and a bunch of co-conspirators stormed into a church service, and this is exactly what took place. Here is behind-the-scenes look of someone who was an attendee at the church. Take a listen.
Father, in Jesus' name, I just ask for your spirit to come here, Father. I ask for your spirit to come here. I ask for your spirit to come here. I ask for you to have your presence here, Father. I ask for you to be here, Father, in Jesus' name. I praise you and I thank you, Father, that you are here, that we are protected here, that we are protected.
Now listen, man, can you imagine that you go to your church and you're in mass and a whole bunch of these freaks come in there and start doing that? It's really, really weird, man. I mean, the people have lost their mind. And I don't even know why they're doing this. For who? for criminals?
I will lose my goddamn fucking shit. And I'm already known as a crazy one in my church. So imagine how crazy I'll get that day.
Yeah, it's just crazy. But I'm gonna fast forward to where he's talking to the actual pastor. All right, let me just get it there.
Common times is what we live in, ladies and gentlemen. Now, next clip is the pastor himself in Clown Lemon.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. Right. But there were folks who will say, I have to take care of my flock. Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest. Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because
Don Lemon can't be this asshole. You got freedom of speech. Does give you freedom to do anything you want.
See, personally, me, if that was me and he was talking to my priest, Father Costantino, this guy would be knocked out right in church. I would bury his teeth right. Make him a permanent member of the floor of the congregation.
Well, listen to some more.
that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ. I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me though. We're here to worship Jesus.
No, first of all, he's in the fucking guy's face. And he said, I'm being respectful and don't push me. I mean, you know, at first he grabbed the dude. I mean, Don Lemon's out of his mind.
Yeah, he wouldn't be touching me or my priest. I'll be honest with you.
Oh,
you're gonna see beside me. You're gonna see me on the 10 o'clock news. So like, and they're gonna ask me on news. I thought Christians don't do that. I'll go like, yeah, I'm not that type of Christian.
Let me ask you a question. Why is he holding it together so well?
Yeah, that's why we're here. Yeah. Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about. Don't you think Jesus would be understanding and we're about love these folks? We're about spreading the love of Jesus. But did you try to talk to them as a no Christian? One is willing to talk. Okay. I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked this. You actually would also leave this world. You don't want us to chronicle what happened. Let's here to worship. I'm always worship. I'm a Christian. We're here to worship. Yeah. We're here to worship. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Man.
He's lucky. He's lucky. I'll be honest with you, Rain. He's lucky because if it was anybody else who didn't have patience, like my priest, Father Costantino, probably done the same thing. You know, I'm not saying all priests are like that. What's going on, dude? But I would say one thing. He's lucky he has his teeth in one place right now. If you busted through my church or the Greek Holy Cross in Strasbourg, I tell you one thing. You're not walking out. At this point, it's self-defense. And if he put his hands on me or my priest, that is more self-defense. Because he put his hands on somebody. He got in his face. I would have headbutted him so hard I busted his nose in goddamn 5 different places. He'll be eating out of his nose when I'm done with him.
It's
How
crazy.
disrespectful is that, bro?
It's very, very, very disrespectful.
Shit.
All right, so here's
to engage in protection of civil rights, protection of First Amendment activities in particular.
And again, First Amendment activities give protesters the right to make their voices heard, peaceful assembly, right? On public property, but it's different when you get into private property. Right?
It's different on private property. This is their First Amendment right to engage in their religion. The protesters, are allowed to engage in their activity. But yes, private places have an ability to not have that type of activity in their place. And the question that we're coming to is how is law enforcement going to protect the rights of protesters to engage in their First Amendment protected activity at the same time not be intimidating?
Why does
what? Yeah, you heard that? You heard it? Okay, I'm sorry.
Law enforcement need to protect protesters. I think they have enough protection at this point. They're failing to protect local churches, targets, people who are just innocent. I mean, think about it. We just covered the story of the 6-month-old baby that was hit with tear gas. Why? Because the police department is nowhere to be found. They're not in control of their streets. Imagine that. You work for the St. Paul Police Department or the Minneapolis Police Department. You're not even allowed to have control over your own jurisdiction.
What you was gonna say? What was you gonna say?
First of all, this doesn't fall under first, second, third. Oh, they got that 10 and they're fucking right. Yeah. This is fucking private property. If you step on my fucking property, it's game on, motherfucker. It's game on. So crazy, that's number one. Number two, you tell them freedom of speech. You can shove that freedom of speech so far up your fucking ass. Like fireworks will be coming out of your goddamn fucking mouth.
It's crazy.
Churches are not under the same category. Same thing like Christians cannot protest in Hamas or whatever the fucking Muslim shit is called. Fuck you.
Well, you know what, man? I'm just trying to say, man, it's gotten so far out of hand that, you know, in these blue states, they don't know what's up. We don't know what's up. Okay, so here's this thing. It's a short one I'm going to show you. A real short one about the FACE Act, right? And the FACE Act is, you know, something I think we should know about. I didn't even know about this until Don Lemon did what he did. And I don't know why, you know, he's not, they're investigating him, and I think he should get put in jail. I mean, or he should be tried.
This law was created to protect girls going in for abortion. You are not allowed to scream. You're not allowed to get on a bullhorn. You're not allowed to call out to the people walking in. You're not allowed to intimidate them or try to interfere with what they're doing. I didn't realize that inside of that act, it included one other place: houses of worship. Let me read the law to you. There might be some of you that want to listen real close for what's coming. It says, whoever by force or threat of force or by physical obstruction intimidates or interferes or attempts to intimidate or interfere with any person lawfully exercising their First Amendment right of religious freedom at a house of religious worship shall be subject to federal criminal penalties. Now,
all right. So what we saw from Don Lemon, do we even, he's guilty. He is absolutely, you know, at least he could be indicted. If they could indict a ham sandwich for for what we have on video and what he did to that house of worship, he's going to pay a heavy penalty for this. The problem is the DOJ is full of pussies. They are not doing what they're supposed to do. They sell a lot of wolf tickets, right? My girl Caroline Leverett could come out and she'll say all this shit. The president is the only guy who's standing on business. And he said he talks a little bit too much, but when he says shit, it generally happens, right? But the DOJ, what's her name? Pam Bondi. She's soft, man. I mean, they talk a big game, but you know, Don Lemon should be in cuffs tonight. They say that there's a lady saying they're investigating, they turn this on. The investigations are bullshit. Nobody does perp work for all the fraud that we've seen, right? They could arrest 1 million Somalis, but I want to see the people who set up these organizations with no oversight. They should be criminally liable, right? We're the Minnesota legislators being indicted for the fraud. They got Ellison on tape saying like a quid pro quo. Listen, you scratch my back, man. You know, brother, I'll scratch yours. I'll vote. You know, as long as y'all vote for me, I'll make sure this thing. I mean, they got him on tape. You know, I'm saying. I mean, it does. You know, and then Walls, the Manchurian Candidate. Forget it. And then, of course, the mayor. Oh my God, man. He's horrible, man. Anyway, what you got to say? What else you got to say, man?
I'm gonna say what I said before, and like I don't give a shit who the fuck you are. If you come to any church, you're not supposed to. Definitely mine. If I was there, let's say shit's gonna hit the fucking fan. You're not gonna like what's gonna happen. Because I know for a fact, and it's been on the news multiple times, you're gonna back me up on this. Okay? When people protest against Muslims, that's an issue. It's a problem. but nobody acts out when Christian it happens to Christians.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
So fuck you to that, not to you, to them.
No, I know what you mean. Hey, well, what do you think? So now that you mention that, what do you think about the president bombing those ISIS for killing the Christians over in Nigeria?
About time.
You
It's
don't
one
get
thing I
even-
agreed on.
Well, you don't get no credit for that. I haven't seen anybody from the black community saying.
I
yeah.
actually had this long argument with David. You remember Black
Okay.
David, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Black David meeting, it was off the air. We're arguing, we just bullshitting. And he goes, Nigeria is the best country in the world.
Yeah.
What? We have the best military in the world. And
Yeah, no, he didn't say
I
that.
called him. I called him like, who has the best military in the world? Didn't have to say a word.
If you can't,
And I do understand where David's coming from. As a Greek myself, you want to be proud of your country. I'm like,
Yes.
I am proud of being Greek. I have nothing against. I'm proud of being American too. But I'll sit there. I'll be a one who say Greeks have a lot of flaws in the country, in their systems.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but you just said something great, right? You know, you have Greece has a storied history, right? You guys' history is so fucking deep. They make up parables and shit about Greece, right? And they got some of those in African, but we don't have those things as widely spread. The movie The Odyssey is getting ready to come out. I might even go to the movies to see that.
Oh wow!
Did you know about the Odyssey coming out?
I haven't heard much because I haven't been keeping up to date on movies coming out.
Yeah,
So,
that's out of Greek lore, right? They're gonna have the Cyclops and the Sirens and all that shit in there. The one thing about black folks, I think we don't take enough pride in being Americans. I don't think we take enough pride in being Americans.
I want to say old black folks because I have a lot.
No, that's not all. Yeah, okay, you gotta when we have these conversations, not all, right? When I speak this, I gotta say at least once. It's not all anything, but it's enough to make a difference. Right? Because there's a lot of people who hate baby boomers, like we're all fucked up, right? That we all know nothing. And that's bullshit. Right? Because I know a lot of baby boomers, they're doing quite well, and their families are doing quite well too. And I think I did a decent job with my kids. They don't hate me, and they ain't no fucking pregnant baby mamas. They're educated. They make good wives for somebody. So I'm sitting back here and saying we don't have enough. But I don't think black people in general take enough pride in being Americans. We talk all this fucking bullshit about we were slaves and we did all of this shit. I grant you, all that shit is true. The turmoil that we went through. It's time to collect, but that doesn't mean we can't be proud of what American. We're supposed to be help shaping this bitch. You know, I mean, you know, if America rises, black people actually tend to do better. And when America falls, we get fucked up first, right? You know,
it's funny you said that because I had that argument. I told David, if America falls, everybody else going to follow us through. Oh, not Africa. Africa is unique. We have our own thing. I'm like, no, David. People backed me up on it, and he didn't want to listen. If America falls, every other country is going to follow suit after that. Where I be at, like that.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. America falls, the world's going to be a really fucked up place.
The rate is going to be worse.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say it right. It's already, for some people, it's already fucked up. But without America here, who's going to be the top dog? China?
Oh, God, no.
North Korea? Russia?
Oh, that's even worse.
Can you imagine? I mean, come on. I mean, that's why it's so important.
It's the reason why we are the #1 military in the world. And I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to say more than that.
Oh, he wants his $2,000. You know, if he could pull a $2,000 a piece off, man, I'm taking it. I know I'm taking it. I'm not turning that shit in. You know, the only problem I'm gonna have is they're gonna try to tax that shit too. Yeah, if you're gonna give me $2,000, right? Give me $2,000 with no tax. You know, why do I got it? Shit, just give me $2,000.
Let's see if we're going to even get the money because you know how he talks and a lot of things don't come true.
Well, that's exactly right. So he says a lot of shit, but he usually tries to make
But
things happen.
in this one, he might do it. He's cover his own ass because this extra money now. But I'm saying with all this extra money, just pay our debt off. That we're fucking $1 trillion in debt we're in. Just pay that shit off.
People don't give a shit about that. They want some money, man. What are you talking about? Pay the debt off.
But debt's going up higher and higher. It's like it won't make a couple million won't make a difference.
Nah, it certainly won't. But listen, what's the consequences of where we are right now? I'm thinking that we're already at a civil war status. It's just that the bodies aren't dropping the way I think it's going to be a different kind of civil war, and I think we're already there. Because the solution to where we are in the blue states is quite simple. Just let ICE and the police forces communicate. That's all. All this shit will stop. All the consternation, ICE doesn't have to send 1,000 people and all this kind of shit. Wall said he's going to try to bring in the National Guard for what? To what? To keep order or to combat ICE? Can you imagine that then the Insurrection Act, which I think the president should already do for both Portland and Minnesota, and put troops out there, and I just think we might as well peel the onion off and let's just have at it. That's one. And what's the other one? The filibuster. I think they should burn the filibuster and pass this legislation so we don't go back to some of the shit. If the liberals get the country back, it's going to be crazy.
See, I was always against the whole filibuster and shutting down the government because you shut it down, you just not solving anything.
Well, they're going to shut down the government again on the 30th.
Seriously?
Yes. When they reopen the government, the 30th is we're going to be right back there. And now they're going to use defunding ICE as their leverage. And so ICE got funding based on the Big Beautiful Bill, which I still think was a dumb name, right? So ICE was funded, especially for 2026 and beyond, to rank up. They're hiring people like crazy, right?
And they're fast tracking their training too, so there's gonna be more killings and everything. Like I agree with that part. Are we in the Civil War? I don't agree on that much. I think we're at the brink of it. We're about to get into.
I think the Civil War will be different than just us putting soldiers on this side and that side.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's going to be a bullet war this time.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a different kind of war,
right?
Because the backlash. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think of that till you mentioned that. To be honest with you, I'll give you credit on that one. The cutting the government, I thought it was stupid. Always, I'm retarded. Why cut down the government? What is the point of that? It doesn't fix anything because these politicians still got fucking paid. Now, let me ask you a question, Payne, and tell me straight up: if you affect their paychecks, okay, we shut that government. You guys don't get paid either. Oh, no, you can't touch my money. Fuck you, and fuck you. You're gonna say to me. How about we pass a law saying that?
Well, we should pass a law. We should pass a law that prohibits these two assholes from shutting down the government. Period.
I don't think the government should be shut down in any shape or way or form.
That's
I'll be honest.
That's what I'm saying.
But if it shuts down, like they're trying to, you guys don't get paid either. Like these fucking poor medical workers.
Yeah, but they're never going to sign that into law. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They're not doing that.
Actually, one person from the Senate actually mentioned that after
they mentioned it, but he probably voted against it too. You can't. I think if you're doing a bill, please correct me if I'm wrong here. You can't vote for it, but other people have to vote for it. So I don't think nobody voted because, like, why would I give up my paycheck if the government shuts down? I mean, sometimes they get a chance to speak from the floor, but it's not really up for a vote. It's some shit that they get to say. All I'm just trying to say is that the government itself, we only hire these people and put them in office, give them cushy jobs for the rest of their life. I mean, in terms of the money they make, to do one thing, to run the government, to take care of the people. So it's really unacceptable for any instant for the government to be shut down. I don't care if listen, even if you're on one side, I'm on the other, and we can't negotiate, that shouldn't be a lever to shut the government down.
I agree.
We should just keep going on whatever the promise was before until we get to some resolution. So on the 30th, mark my words, the Republicans are going to shut the government down, and they're going to say until the Republicans defund ICE, which is something they'll never do.
No.
They're not going to do that. So it's not even negotiate. You can't even negotiate that. So when you tell somebody, listen, you gotta, what was that? Do you ever saw Seven, the movie?
Yeah, long time ago, but I did.
Yeah. If you tell somebody you gotta cut a pound of flesh off your side, or else I'm gonna kill you. What kind of deal is that? You know what I'm saying? So the Democrats are just playing politics so bad.
They're not. It's not even positive. They're using leverage when they don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And their leverage is damaging the population. The only leverage they got left is to hurt the people and hope that the people will go against the Republicans. But there's no way that Donald Trump or anybody else is going to say, I'm going to defund ICE. Not when we have all of these illegal. That's what he ran on.
Don't forget, ICE wasn't a thing a few years ago. He put two different groups together, and that's how ICE was put together.
No, you missed my beginning of my show. I went through the history. ICE was formed by DHS back in 2002.
Yeah, was it that back that long ago?
Right after it's a product of 9/11.
Oh, I thought it was
no. So
recent.
ICE is only recent. It's only seemed like it's recent because they're in the shadows. The reason why we're hearing from them is because all the consternation. When Obama was president, ICE was deporting a lot of people too, but he's a Democrat. Democrats didn't have an issue with it until they came up with this bright idea that they would flood the country with illegals, feed them as much money and all this shit and gifts and shit. So in 2 or 3 years, they can make these people eligible to vote. And so they could vote the Democrats in because the black vote has gotten so weak because more and more men are starting to say, there's nothing in the fucking Democratic Party for us. We got to get off the
honestly, bro. I'll be honest with you. I know multiple Greeks who refuse to vote, and they have the same mentality I do.
That's another thing. A lot of black men don't vote. I mean, Corey and Anton Daniels. Corey said he don't vote.
Yeah, I do vote, but most of them have my own mentality. Like my vote won't make a difference. It's predetermined, they believe.
And you know what? On a national level, I think because there are a lot of them think on a local level, your vote absolutely makes a difference. Because you're in a local level, we're putting those politicians who make local laws, the people who say what could be taught in your schools, all that shit's local in the states. It's even more important than the governors, right? So if you don't vote or try to learn who these people are and what kind of mindset they have, and most people don't. I know I'm not really great at it. I just went to a few different like town halls and shit. I said, man, I'm living in a real fucked up place. You know what I'm saying? God,
this whole situation we're in between here in our own backyard and overseas is going on. We already said so where it might start, already started, or whatever. I think World War III is right at the brink too, to be honest with you.
Oh man, so that one will be with bullets. I don't know, man. Hopefully, I think what the reason why we're not at World War III just yet, and I don't think it's as close as people think, because everybody wants to live.
I don't think it's gonna be with bullets, to be honest with you.
Then it won't be World War III.
I think it's going to be
what?
Droid, technology more, nukes and all that stuff. I think it'll be a push of a button more than anything nowadays.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's no coming back from that.
Oh, that I'm not disagreeing one bit. I agree. Same thing with World War II.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to. Go ahead.
I know you served during World War II back in the day.
Yeah.
but there's like even people who like you are from the generation technically, right, Payne?
No, man. You know, I'm more. Listen, I was of age. Actually, I was. My age was just right.
But what I mean, your generation,
my father was in the Korean War.
Okay.
World War II.
I thought your parents were in that era, and you were born after.
But my father went to Korea.
Okay.
That was after the World War II. My grandfather didn't serve in there, but he was my grandfather on my mother's side. He served in World War II.
Yeah, I know. My grandfather served in World War II.
Right.
My grandmother's brother was in World War II too.
Right.
So they were all Navy guys.
Yeah. So my cousins were in Vietnam, but my age group was when I turned 18. They had stopped mandatory sign up. So it was a small few years in there where they said you didn't have to sign up for selective service.
I'm gonna say one last thing, and I gotta get going after this.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to wrap up. Yeah.
I know I'm one of the few people on my network and on this network who agrees to this. I think the draft needs to come back. To be honest with you, we may have less problems with the draft back.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm one of the unique people who say that, but
well, you know what? The recruitment, right, has gone up tremendously since Hegseth took office. And since they say that people are signing up like. I wouldn't say the draft. I think women should be compelled to sign up for selective service. I think every woman should be compelled to sign up for selective once they turn 18, just like the men. That was one of the biggest things with the 19th Amendment, that the women said they didn't want to vote if they had to sign up for selective service. And some fucking cuck, and man says, okay, you guys don't have to sign up. So we'll give you the right to vote, but you don't have to be a full citizen. And we've been paying for that shit ever fucking since, man. Because women, man, they vote their feelings. We can't sit on these podcasts and all this talk about women are emotional and they act based on their feelings and what they want. And then thinking when they vote, they're going to be some fucking logical creatures. They're not. They're going to be just like they are in real fucking life.
They're a bunch of women I know, bro. They have nothing emotional about them. They're worse than men. They're ice cold.
Nah, man.
They're rare. They're very rare. They're very rare.
Thank you. And even them, they're cosplaying. Because, listen, I'll give you this. I know you got to go, right? The lady who was a lieutenant governor of Virginia, she was the incumbent, probably should have been governor, right? Her name was Winsome, right? Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's a conservative, so she says, right? A staunch conservative. When she has her speeches, she sounds just like the fucking rest of them. But she hates Donald Trump. So, she says, well, I'm going to win without endorsing him. So she said a whole bunch of fuck shit against Donald Trump. So he wouldn't endorse her, okay? Rightfully so. And then she gets to election day. As she goes to election, we find out who her running mate is. A big fucking gay white dude with a little stubby black guy as his husband. And I'm saying, wait a minute. You're supposed to be some Christian, some Christian ultra Republican. And out of all the people you could find as a running mate, you get a big white dude who's plugging a little black stubby guy. As your lieutenant governor, she lost the race. So she was faking it.
I'm kind of surprised because a lot of the LGBTQ, and I'm against LGBTQ.
You don't have to be against it, but there's still optics.
Yeah, my thing is, I don't care if you're LGBTQ. That's up to you. Trans is one completely different conversation. But one thing I will say is, and I'll leave it at that. I don't get too much into it tonight. Is the whole same-sex marriage should not be in the church. It should not be allowed.
There you go.
Because that's a sacred thing for men and women. If you don't like it, kiss my hairy Greek shiny ass. Not you, but
you're right. That's another conversation for another show. But the point really is, her optics were all bad. because she wanted the real staunch Republicans to vote for her. They don't go for that. That's why Pete Buttigieg can't be president. Nobody wants to see two men kissing on the fucking White House lawn. Nobody wants to see that. So anyway, except other gay folks. You know, I mean, they could do it behind closed doors. Well, I don't have to be in there, but you know, my president, and we're gonna move you around the world with all these crazy leaders. And
one thing I do like what he did is he changed the law about the whole trans thing. The government's not gonna pay for that shit, their transplantation or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
I'm glad he did that.
Yeah,
It should have been done a long time ago.
People are fighting that. So, man, listen, I'm getting ready to go out. Man, thanks for coming up, Pete.
Anytime,
Thanks for
brother.
people out there, and you know, my man, Black America. I'm sorry that you dropped down, but I know you're driving, going through a lot of dark spots, man. Thanks, Pete. Everybody else who came in, just say hi, man, and hit the button. You know, I just think, I hope you got a little bit out of this, that we can get rid of all this shit that's going on in the blue states if they just let the police talk to each other. It'll go away. Boom, it will go away overnight. And so, and the other thing, the DOJ needs to start arresting fucking guys. Some people need to get arrested. Black man, thanks for letting me up again. I'm done. Peace done. We're out of here, man. I don't know, me end this stream. I don't know. He used to have music going on, man. But
Yeah,
now
but he Paul, same thing. Like a hard stop.
It's a hard stop, right? All right, man. Later on, brother.
Nah, see ya, man.